Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Test 1 2 3 4. Mic check 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2. And good afternoon, and welcome to Case Western Reserve University in Nobby's Ballpark for today's game between the Case Western Reserve University Spartans, who are 12-11 on the season. A non-conference game for the Spartans today against Mount Union. Enters the game with a 15-7 record and coming off a couple losses yesterday, so they'll look to bounce back here against the Spartans on a sun-splashed Nobby's Ballpark. I'm John Schwartz. Joining me is Michael Goldberg. Michael, perfect weather for baseball today, and thanks for jumping in and helping out here.
It's great to be here. The sun is shining, a little chill in the air, but great day for baseball, John.
It's probably about as good as you get in Cleveland at this time of the year, so this is pretty solid. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get you the batting order for the two teams today. Beginning with the lineup for Mount Union, it'll be Andrew Whitty, the shortstop, leading things off. John Rizzanti, the designated hitter, batting second. Zach Mazza, the center fielder, hits third. And then Eric Schilling playing right field and batting fourth. Jared Lehman, the first baseman in the 5 spot. Vince Armini playing second base and hitting sixth. Ryan Ramito, the third baseman today, and batting seventh. And then rounding out the lineup, it's Logan Bell catching. And Anthony Kemmer will be the left fielder and batting ninth. On the mound, Anthony Warner. We'll tell you more about the first-year pitcher when he takes the hill in the bottom of the inning. But before we get there, let's give you defensive alignment for the Spartans today. At first base will be Nick Tallarico. Second baseman, Josiah Harris. The shortstop is Owen Levinson. And at third base is Zach Carinci, back at third for the first time in a couple weeks, actually. In the outfield, it'll be Kevin McKenzie, and left center fielder is Matt Trout, and then the right fielder is Nick Harms. Doing the catching, Jack Anderson, and on the mound is Evan Faxon, the lefty from nearby Cleveland Heights. Graduate student set to deliver his first pitch. It's on the way, and a fastball in there for a called strike. And he starts off Whitty with a fastball, and it's an 0-1 count. Now the 0-1 from Faxon, fouled off by Whitty, and it's 0-2.
Evan Faxon attended Hawkins School, a private school on the east side of Cleveland, actually the rival school of my school where I attended. And Evan with a good career at Worcester before coming here as a grad transfer.
Pitch taken a little bit high, and it's 1-2. Faxon this year, looking for his first win of the season. He was hampered by an injury early on. Back and looked to be at full strength against Emory, although suffered the loss in that game last week as that's grounded to second base. Harris has it, no problem. Flips on to first where Tallarico fields it for the out. And there's quickly one retired here in the opening inning.
Good start by the Spartans. Faxon's the only grad transfer on the team, and a number of the other Spartan athletics team have taken advantage of opportunities with grad transfers, but Faxon's the only one playing for the baseball Spartans.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're in that time period right now where, baseball players who are coming from Division III schools have 2 extra years of eligibility, as that misses outside for a ball 1-0. And so, even within the Spartans in future years, you could see some guys sticking around for an extra year or two because they have that extra eligibility. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-1.
I talked to Coach Englander before the game on this very topic. And he said there are some folks that they're talking to. They're looking for people who can actually make an impact.
Another strike at the knees, and it's 1-2. This is John Rizzanti at the plate, a .370 hitter, 3 home runs, 12 runs batted in this year for the designated hitter. Is Faxon rocks and delivers the 1-2, lined into shallow right, charging in his arms, but it's in front of him for a base hit. And so Rizzanti, a 2-strike single for the first hit of the game for the Purple Raiders.
One of the things that Coach Englander mentioned, we were talking about Emory's visit here last weekend, and a starting pitcher for Emory and a relief pitcher for Emory are both going D1. The relief pitcher is actually going to go pitch for the University of Georgia. So it's interesting, some of these D3 folks that have really excelled looking to take their talents to D1, not necessarily transfer to a D3 program.
First pitch to Mazza, taken down and in. Mazza hitting at .351 on the year with a home run and 20 runs batted in. Yeah, it's interesting because even when you saw the World Baseball Classic, there were a number of D3 guys that were on some of those rosters. You talk about Emory. Richard Brereton was a pitcher for them who was on the Great Britain roster. You had Michael Wylansky, who was a shortstop for Worcester, who probably I think Evan played with, who ended up on the Team Israel roster. So, D3 baseball is better quality, I think, than most people give credit for. And you get a lot of really solid players coming out of there. As a swing and a miss by Mazza brings the count to 1-1. 1-2, excuse me.
Rosane on first has stolen 3 of 4 bases on the year, so Mount Union does like to run.
Yep. We'll see here with Jack Anderson, who's done a good job controlling the running game this year, how active they are on the base paths. But I'm sure both of these teams do like to run, and I'm sure we'll see plenty of stolen base attempts today.
Mazza was an All-American last year in D3.
He has 20 runs batted in, 1 home run on the season, but swings and misses at that one, and that's strike 3.
Faxon challenged him with a hard heat up high, and Mazza goes down swinging. Good at bat for Evan Faxon.
Yeah, he's looked good today, and again, really, it seemed to take him a couple starts to get the hang of things after missing the early part of the season due to the injury, but he looks back in full form now. As he'll work from the stretch here with the runner on, and the first pitch swung on a misstep by the big bat in the Mount Union lineup, Eric Schilling. And that brings the count to 0-1. Schilling hitting at .378 on the year, 2 home runs, 33 runs batted in. He has 15 extra base hits through just over 20 games this year. As that's in the air, shallow center. Trout charging in, makes the catch, and that ends the inning. So 1-out single for Rosante, but he's left stranded at first base, and we'll move along into the bottom of the first with the Spartans getting their first chance of the game. And let's go ahead and give you the batting order for Case Western Reserve. Jack Anderson will be leading things off. He carries a 19-game hitting streak into the contest, while Josiah Harris, who had a career-high 5 runs batted in his last outing, he'll bat second. Nick Harms homered against Worcester. He hits third. And then Zach Carinci, who has a 14-game hitting streak of his own coming into play today, he'll be in the cleanup spot. Trey Haley back in the lineup. He's the designated hitter and batting 5th. Matt Trout, the center fielder, bats 6th. Nick Tallarico, who homered against Worcester, he'll be in the 7th spot. Kevin McKenzie, the left fielder, hits 8th. And then Owen Levinson, becoming a mainstay in that shortstop spot, will be in the 9-hole today for the Spartans. Defensively for Mount Union, first baseman is Jared Lehman. The second baseman is Vince Armini. The shortstop is Andrew Whitty, and the third baseman is Ryan Ramito. In the outfield, Anthony Kemmer is in left. Center fielder is Zach Mazza. The right fielder is Eric Schilling. Doing the catching is Logan Bell, and on the hill is Anthony Warner. Warner, the right-handed pitcher, 1-1 on the season with a 4.58 ERA through 5 appearances. He has thrown 17 2/3 innings through those 5 starts, so he's not a guy who's gone deep in a lot of games this year for Mount Union. He surrendered 19 hits over those 17 2/3 innings. 9 runs earned, 12 runs total. He struck out 18 and walked 13. Again, a .271 opponent's batting average on the year against Warner.
Warner hails from Louisville, Ohio, just a little bit south of here in the Massillon area, first-year student.
So he'll have a chance here against the Case Western Reserve lineup that scored 17 runs the other day. So Jack Anderson set to lead things off for the Spartans. Again, a 19-game hitting streak on the season. He has been fantastic with 6 for 7. A home run shy of the cycle was Anderson the last time out against Worcester. Set school records with 6 hits, 5 runs. Takes that up and out for a ball, and it's 2-0.
Anderson's going to be sticking around Case Western Reserve with 2 more years of eligibility, attending the law school, which gives Coach Englander a lot of...
He turns on that pitch and sends it foul, though he hit it a long way, 2-1. Yeah, I think that keeps Coach Englander happy, and probably, certainly some of the opposing coaches that Jack has faced this year are a little less happy as he has torched basically everybody this season. It's 3-1. Jack in that game on Thursday, 6 for 7. He started the game off 6 for 6. Home run shy of the cycle. In his last at bat, he swung at a 3-0 pitch as he takes that up high, ball 4 and reaches. Swung at a 3-0 pitch and hit it back to the warning track. I was talking about it. He said the launch angle wasn't good on it. He just a little bit of a line drive. But he didn't miss the home run by much on that, and that would have been undoubtedly the best game in program history.
Hard to complain about 6 for 7, but obviously 7 for 7 would have been even a little bit better.
Yeah. So that'll bring up Josiah Harris, who takes the first pitch for a ball. Harris hitting at 302. He's coming off a real nice game as well. Drove in 5 runs against Worcester and what was really just a terrific offensive outing all around for the Spartans. He hits that in the air towards the gap, left center field, and that's going to drop in over the head of the left fielder for extra bases. Anderson, who's got good speed, will pull into third and stop there. Harris with the double. That is his 3rd double of the season. The Spartans, with something going here in the first inning, have runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out.
Well, according to my source, my unnamed source, who's given me the nicknames on the team, Harris goes by Jay Slime. Also, some of his friends call him the Fresh Prince, but really making an impact as a freshman, hitting it into the gap. Good base running by Anderson, who had to judge that. He could have been caught potentially, but good job 2nd and 3rd, and nobody out here for the Spartans.
Now bring up Harms, who's hitting at 365 on the year. Team high 6 home runs, including 1 against Worcester on Thursday. He fouls off the first pitch. It's sort of a perfect situation for Harms, who could drive a run in here with a deep fly ball, and it sort of gives him license to swing for the track here a little bit, and that's something he's kind of doing anyway when he comes up to the plate. Harms awaits the pitch, and it's a breaking ball outside corner, 0-2. Harms on the year, 6 home runs, 17 runs batted in. He also has doubled 10 times on the season. He's batting here with runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out in the first. The Spartans trying to break through early. The 0-2, a timeout called at the plate.
Harms hails from St. Louis, Missouri.
Curveball swung on and missed at strike 3, and Harms goes down on 3 pitches. So Warner bounces back and gets the strikeout for the first out of the inning.
So Zach Carinci coming to the plate. John, you did a nice feature with him this week talking about what he loves about Case Western Reserve.
Called strike there.
Zach works for a startup called Cleaner that's come up with a filter that goes on washing machines that filters out microplastics.
It's always the amazing things about some of the Case Western Reserve athletes, as that's up high for a ball, 1-1, is that, you know, they're not physical education majors. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for the most part, you know, you got biomechanical engineering majors, or, you know, in Zach's case, he's aerospace and mechanical engineering, so it's pretty impressive.
Quite a few. David Dillman, who's a former baseball player, is one of the co-founders of the company, so quite a few baseball players interning for Cleaner.
Count stays at 1-2 as Carinci fouls that one away. Well, Warner here has a little bit of a path to get out of this inning after allowing the first 2 runners to reach. There's now 1 out, a 1-2 count on Carinci. And that one grounded towards the middle. That'll get the run in. Scoop by the shortstop, and the throw is airmailed to first, and safe on the play is Carinci. So it'll be an RBI as Carinci reaches on the error.
Zach did a nice job putting that ball in play. Clearly the run was going to score, and he hustled down to first. As John mentioned, that throw took the first baseman off the bag, and Zach, with good hustle, was able to get in there. So 1st and 3rd for the Spartans. They get their first run home and looking to do some more damage.
And Trey Haley at the plate, a 3-0-3 hitter, trying to do it here with runners on the corners. We'll see if the Spartans put a play on here. No one running yet as the pitch taken down and out for a ball, 1-0.
Zach, 7 of 8 on the year for steal attempts.
It's kind of a new wrinkle he's added into his game this season. And he's running here. The pitch taken. The throw goes down to second. It's in front of the bag, and Carinci slides in safely. And he's now 8 of 9 on stolen base attempts, and that puts runners back at 2nd and 3rd with 1 away and a 2-0 count on Haley at the plate.
It's interesting to see the runner on third, Harris, did not attempt. Sometimes when you see that throw go down to second, you'll see the runner on third take off, but he held.
Pitch is taken up high again, and it's 3-0. And if you're Warner here, you have to be careful. The Spartans tend to not be a team that is going to be afraid to swing on a 3-0 pitch. And if you're Warner, you can't just lay one in here with 2nd and 3rd and 1 away. He does, and Haley holding up all the way, and so it is a 3-1 count now as he takes it for a strike. So first base open, the 3-1 from Warner. in the air, popped up, foul, and out of play, and it's 3-2.
You know, for those of you who haven't been down to Nobby Park here at Case Western Reserve, we're very much in a residential neighborhood surrounded by the football field on the right, some dorms behind us, and homes over the fence. So it would take a lot of power to hit the houses over the fence. I've never seen that here.
No, probably the person who's come closest is Nick Harms, who had a few onto the road last year, as that one's taken for ball 4. And so the second walk of the inning by Warner loads the bases for the Spartans in the bottom of the first. And Matt Trout coming to the plate. Trout hitting a .261, went 4 of 6 against Worcester on Thursday. That saw his average climb. He's trying to heat up a little bit.
Should have been a little more strategic where I parked, John.
I take it you parked across the street
right.
there?
Well, I guess I'd take a Nick Harms home run if it landed on my windshield.
That's it. Well, insurance will take care of that. Do you have the glass coverage? Because that's the most important thing. That one fouled away. And the count goes to 0-2 on Trout, the first year out of Northeast Maryland. Trout 16 runs batted and did a lot of that RBI damage early in the season, but again, starting to heat up again at the plate as he makes the adjustment to college pitching. The 0-2, and he swings and went chasing that one for strike 3.
Disappointing at bat for Trout with the bases loaded. Sure. Coach Englander would like to see him put a little bit of, at least make contact up there. So now 2 outs with the bases loaded.
It's interesting because so far this inning has pretty much gone the way that Warner's numbers would indicate. Lots of strikeouts, but he has dealt with a lot of runners on base as he delivers a first pitch strike to Tallarico. Nick Tallarico, the senior, hitting a .211 on the season. But Warner a chance to get out of this with minimal damage, just 1 run across. If you can retire Tallarico here, he fouls that one back, and it's 0-2.
So Tallarico is a senior out of Geneva, Illinois, heading into investment banking after graduation. So
here's the 0-2 offering. Down and out. Ball 1, 1-2. Tried to get Tallarico chasing in that one. Tallarico, 3 home runs on the season. He has 6 runs batted in. Here's the 1-2. Another one breaking ball. Tried to get Tallarico to chase, but he doesn't go fishing for it, and it stays at 2-2, or I should say goes to 2-2. Now the 2-2. That one lifting in the air deep towards center field, going back as a center fielder, and it's over his head and drops in for extra bases. Runners were going all the way with 2 outs. Circling third and coming in to score all the way from first base is Haley. It's a bases clearing, 2-out, 2-strike double for Nick Tallarico, and the Spartans go ahead 4-0.
that was clutch as he saw a fastball to his liking and drilled it over the center fielder's head. And as John mentioned, the runners were off on contact, and that clears the bases. What could have been Warner weaseling out of that inning turns into a 4-run spot for the Spartans here in the bottom of the first.
And keep in mind that error that, earlier in the frame on the throw by the shortstop would have had him out of the inning by now, but instead he trails 4-0, and Kevin McKenzie, the senior, will step up, takes ball 1, 1-0. For Warner, he's now thrown 30 pitches in this first inning as well. Make it 31 as that one misses down and out.
McKenzie from Needham, Massachusetts, out in the Boston area, a senior.
That one just catches that outside corner. It's 2-1. You can see with Warner, he's going to be effective against righties with that breaking pitch he has, and he matches it with a good fastball that he's placed on the outside corner. But kind of guy who's got to hit the spots with both of those pitches to be effective. That one chopped third base side. Fair ball.
Oh, just over the bag.
Or do they call it foul?
Oh.
Boy, I thought that was going fair for sure, and I thought it was fair. Coach Englander kind of looking into the dugout there. I think he knows there's nothing he can do about that.
It's too bad. Tough from our angle to see if it was fair or foul, but being Spartan.
Yeah, hey,
Being Spartans looked fair from here.
Not much of an argument from Coach Englander on that one, so I'm going to take it and say that probably did just go foul.
That's
but
true. Matt's a pretty mellow guy, so.
2-2 in the air, right field, deep, going back and circling underneath it is the right fielder, and putting it away just in front of the warning track is Schilling for the final out in the inning. But the damage done here in the first is the Spartans score 4 runs on 2 hits, and they take a 4-0 lead over Mount Union. It'll be Lehman, Armini, and Ramito due up 5, 6, and 7 in the order for Mount Union when we come back. And welcome back as Case Western Reserve University has jumped out to the early 4-0 lead in the bottom of the first inning against Mount Union. Evan Faxon back out on the hill for inning number 2 after working around a 1-out single. First pitch, swing and a miss by Lehman, who's a .268 hitter on the year with 1 home run and 6 runs batted in. Brings the count to 0-1. Now the 0-1 in the air, foul, and it's 0-2.
Well, John, nothing like your teammates giving you a 4-run lead as you come out to the top of the second. Evan feels like he throws loose and confident out there, but having 4 runs to start the second inning is great.
And a swing and a miss of the pitch in the dirt, and it'll be strike 3. Second strikeout of the game for Faxon, and there's 1 out here in the second inning. Bring to the plate Vince Armini, a .400 hitter in limited appearances this season. He's 2 of 5 with 4 runs batted in. That one fouled off, and it's 0-1 on Armini.
So Evan's a student along with Trey Armstrong in our graduate medical physiology program. So Evan's planning on applying to medical school after next year. Trey, who was a player and now serving as a coach, will be heading to medical school in the fall and actually has a bunch of great choices. Really proud of Trey.
Yeah, Trey's been such a big boost for this program, too, doing kind of yeoman's work as a coach while he's in school, and it's pretty impressive that he's able to do both, but he's been a huge asset to this team.
Got to know Trey, participated in a program we started last year for student athletes to see about marketing their NIL, name, image, likeness rights. This is something that's obviously a big topic in Division I and some of the big money sports, but it's awesome to see D3 athletes trying to monetize, even in a small way. Actually, Jack Carinci, Trey, both participated in our program.
Armini went down swinging. Ramito now at the plate, the third baseman, hitting at .333. And he takes that pitch, I believe, inside for a ball, 1-0. You know, it's funny, you said you got to meet Trey. I think everyone on this campus at some point over the last 7 years has met Trey. That's just his personality.
It was funny. President Eric Kaler, who's a big athletics booster, has been on campus for about almost 2 years, has gotten to know Trey right from the beginning. So actually, I remember Trey and his baseball teammates cheering on our women's softball team last year in the NCAAs.
Strike on the outside corner brings the count even, 2-2.
They were so boisterous out there that I think at one point the umpire told Trey he had to remove himself.
And a swing and a miss, strike 3, and that'll be a very quick inning for Faxon, who strikes out the side. Really nice opportunity there. Boy, Faxon dealing today 4 strikeouts through 2, and we'll move to the bottom of the second. It'll be Levinson, Anderson, and Harris due up. 9, 1, and 2 in the order when we come back. I think you're... Welcome back as Owen Levinson set to lead things off here in the second inning. Levinson, Anderson, and Harris, 9, 1, and 2 in the order for the Spartans. As we get going here, John Schwartz alongside me, Michael Goldberg, joining us to do some color commentary today. As a called strike to Levinson brings the count to 0-1.
Levinson, the number 9 hitter, hitting .364.
Well, he has been just a breakthrough this year at the plate. And his glove is so good that if he can do kind of anything at the plate, it's worth it to have him in the lineup. That one popped up, shallow right, charging in a Schilling, and he makes the catch for the first out of the inning. And there's one gone. So I'll bring Jack Anderson to the plate. Anderson drew a walk in his first time up. Eventually came around to score a run. Jack working on a 19-game hitting streak. Swings and misses at that one, and the count goes to 0-1.
He's an aggressive swinger up there. Almost came out of his shoes on that swing, John.
That one's fouled off again, and it's 0-2. I've compared him to, in the past, I don't know if you remember Vladimir Guerrero Sr.,
Sure.
who takes big cuts at everything, but somehow manages to make contact with everything. The pitch could be on his shoestrings, and he'd hit it, 400 feet deep. But that's a little bit like Jack now, especially he's developed some power in the last few years, but he is a very talented ball player. Almost went chasing that one, and it's ball 1, 1, and 2 as he takes it outside. But if you look at the numbers, for a guy who swings like that, he's only struck out 11 times hitting out of the leadoff spot through 23 games, so pretty good. Every time I say that, I feel like he strikes out too, so I need to be careful here.
Looking at this black Honda that parked in not a great place for Jack Anderson's foul ball. Hope he has your glass break insurance, John.
Swing and a miss. Actually foul tip back in the catcher's glove, and either way, that'll be strike 3. So Anderson does strike out for the 12th time this season. I apologize for that. And with 2 gone in the inning, Warner looking to bounce back with a quick inning here. Will face Josiah Harris, who doubled into the left center field gap his first time up.
So Warner came into the inning at 31 pitches, I think. It's only taken him 6 so far.
That ball grounded softly down the first base side, foul, and it's 0-1 on Harris, who's now hitting at .315. You talk about glass insurance down that side. I think last week against Emory we lost 2 windows, was it, or 1? Two dorm windows that got broken by foul balls there. So, I don't know if they put that in the housing agreement when you sign up there, make you know that you're living in range of a Jack Anderson missile strike at any moment. Misses outside for a ball. It's 2-1.
Yeah, make sure our students are paying attention when they're in their dorm room.
Keep in mind, it was a little chilly last week. That's not the kind of weekend you want to lose a window. Fouled off by Harris, who turned around that off-speed pitch, and it's 2-2.
I'll say, as I sort of look out on the houses here, where the ballpark and the university is located, for those of you who, again, aren't familiar with Case, we're right living in the city of Cleveland and very much in an urban neighborhood, and there's been some housing redevelopment down here, and Case is very much part of the community. So it's a university that exists within and interacts with the community quite a bit.
Ball 4 as Harris draws the walk, and he's on for the second time today. And that'll bring up Nick Harms, who's looking to become more acquainted with the local community, possibly with a ball over a wall in either direction here. But
I'm looking out over center field and remembering I did some political canvassing, going door to door, try to get out the vote for one of the elections.
Harris goes, pitches up and in, and taken for a ball. No throw as Harris with the stolen base.
Nothing like knocking on doors and trying to get people to vote, and I can tell you that they're not voting. Not what we're here to talk about today, John.
Sounds like some rough memories there. Traumatic experience. That one inside, gets away, and moving up to third on a wild pitch will be Harris. It really is. It's funny. I feel like even in the 8 years since I've been here, the paint jobs on some of the houses have gotten a little bit more creative. It's just a little bit of a brighter neighborhood than it used to be,
absolutely.
I think. And Harms couldn't hold up.
Cleveland, just for a little Cleveland history, Cleveland was the 5th largest city in the United States in 1920, and now is over in the 50s, just in terms of population loss and business loss. But things are looking up in the city. A lot of healthcare institutions and employment here, traditional manufacturing.
Big swing and a miss, and the count goes full. 3-2 with 2 outs and a runner at third.
Sure, Matt Englander would like to see Nick get in Harris from third.
And just add to that lead if he can, is the pitch on the way outside, ball 4.
Good eye.
So Harms draws the walk. That was the same pitch that Warner threw to get him out in the first inning of the game on a strikeout. And so now it's first and third, good speed on the base paths. And I got to imagine with the Spartans already a couple stolen bases today that we're going to see Harms in motion in this at bat. It's just a question of when. As Zach Carinci reached on an error and had an RBI in his first at bat, steps to the plate.
Nick 7 of 8 on the year for steals.
Not running here as Carinci loops that in the air deep towards right, but playable for Schilling, who settles underneath and puts it away for the out, and that ends the inning. So despite 2 walks, the Spartans leave 2 men on, and we will move along to the third. It'll be the 8, 9, and 1 hitters for Mount Union. Bell, Kemmer, and Whitty due up when we come back. Four to nothing. The Spartans leading as we get set to begin inning number 3 between Case Western Reserve and Mount Union. Mount Union coming from Alliance, about maybe a little less than an hour drive away, an hour or so. So not too far. Logan Bell, the catcher, will lead things off. Bell, a local product for Mount Union out of Alliance, Ohio. It's an 0-1 count. Evan Faxon has looked great today as that ball lifted in the air deep towards left, but playable for McKenzie, who now takes a few steps in as the wind knocked that down and puts it away for the first out of the inning. So Bell retired. That is now 6 straight retired by Faxon. And the 9-hitter, Anthony Kemmer, will be the batter. Kemmer hitting .375, 3 for 8 on the year. First pitch on the way. Swing and a miss at another good fastball. It's 0-1. Michael, we were talking in between innings, and I'm not sure. We don't have the gun out on Faxon, but I got to imagine he's upper 80s today, if not touching 90 at times. He looks like he's really bringing it to the velocity is as good as it's been for him this season. Very sharp on the mound is the 1-1. Just misses outside, 2-1.
Well, I was telling some of the students in here, the last time I broadcast a baseball game, John, would that be 1991, Princeton playing University of North Carolina, and Paul Shuey, who's a former Cleveland Indian, was throwing for UNC, and we, like here today, we don't have a gun up at the booth, and I was like, I think he's throwing in the 90s, and all of my fellow broadcasters at WPRB Sports made fun of me because they're like, how do you even know that? And it turned out that he did indeed. So Paul Shuey throwing in the mid-90s is still discussed today.
3-2 offering from Faxon, who delivers up high, ball 4, and that'll be the first walk of the day issued by Faxon. It comes to the 9-hitter Kemmer, and so maybe a little bit of trouble here in the third as he'll face the leadoff hitter Andrew Whitty, who grounded out to second base in his first at-bat.
Faxon, a lefty with a good pickoff move to first base.
Kemmer yet to attempt to steal this year as the breaking ball in there for a strike, but Kemmer is also only making his second start of the year. And this is a Mount Union team that likes to run.
Whitty's the local kid from Mentor, Ohio.
Misses outside for a ball, 1-1. Great athletic program in Mentor there. Got a lot of good football players.
Mitch Trubisky.
Yep. The quarterback who followed him, Ian Kipp, is actually in line for the starting job here at Case Western Reserve next year. So Kipp was a transfer. Started at Kent State, then came here, but good player as well. The 1-2. Ground ball hit to second. Could be 2 if they hurry. Harris flips over to Levinson for 1. Back to first. Double play turned. And that gets Faxon through the third. 4-6-3. The Spartans turn the double play. They continue to play good defense in the infield, and we'll move into the bottom of the third inning. Haley, Trout, and Tallarico, 5, 6, and 7 in the order, due up when we come back. Trey Haley set to lead things off here for the Spartans as Anthony Warner begins his third inning of work. Had a much smoother second inning, although he now has walked 4 batters through just 2 and starts Trey Haley off with a pitch outside 1-0. Haley drew one of those walks and then scored a batter later on the 3 RBI double by Nick Tallarico. The 1-0. Well outside, 2-0.
Haley Hailing, excuse me there, John, from Arlington, Virginia, Washington and Lee High School. I lived in Arlington before I moved back to Cleveland. Great community outside the Metro DC area.
You know, you could have just said Haley is from, and you wouldn't have had to tongue twist yourself there so
I know.
badly.
I got to work on that.
3-0 the count as that misses outside. Dreas Sr. awaits the 3-0. And taking on the way, thought he had ball 4, tosses the bat aside, starts taking off the batting gloves.
Well, that's a great way to make friends with your friendly umpire by tossing your bat and removing your gloves. So, see.
It's one where you just say, apologies, I missaw that one, and you move on. That one's outside, and no worse for the wear.
Every once in a while, I feel like you see a clip where you show up the umpire by thinking it's a ball 4, and then the next one is a foot outside, and they call it a strike. But luckily, not that time.
Well, that was the. Did you see the situation? I forgot. It was maybe Ole Miss and someone else, or I'm forgetting the two schools. But earlier in the year, where the umpire rung the guy up on a pitch that was about 3 feet outside. It was the final pitch of the game, and then the umpire just made a beeline for the locker room after. He knew.
It's hard reffing and umpiring, I think, in this climate, but yeah, every once in a while you see these egregious calls.
It's funny, now they have to worry about a clock too. Even though there isn't a clock on the field, it almost makes it harder, but technically NCAA baseball Division III, they're on a clock similar to the majors this year. That one bunted by Trout out in front of the mound. Nicely done. It's a throw to first in time to get the out. It'll be a sacrifice bunt laid down by Trout for the first out of the inning. Haley moves up a bag to second, and he's in scoring position with one away for Nick Tallarico, who had a 3 RBI double in the first inning, sending a 2-strike, 2-out pitch over the head of the center fielder to clear the bases. Tallarico now hitting at .224. He's driven in 9 runs this season. That's down and out. Mentioned it briefly at the beginning of the game, but one of the big changes to the Spartan lineup is that Zach Carinci, who's been battling with some arm issues, is playing third base again, and that allows Tallarico to be back in the lineup playing first, and that's a big addition for this Case Western Reserve team to have both of those guys in there at the same time. It's tough to balance that otherwise.
In talking to Matt Englander before the game, Spartans have had a lot of injuries this year. Zach, several of the other starting pitchers, Evan Faxon, have been hurt. I mean, they're just starting to get healthy now, and the season goes fast. So this is a big weekend for the Spartans as they get folks healthy, including Zach.
Good change up there, catches for a strike, and it's 2-2 on Tallarico. Warner now up to 65 pitches, which, considering he ended the first, I think with 34, he's certainly been a bit more conservative with his pitch use here as the breaking ball swung on and tipped into the catcher's glove for strike 3. And so Warner gets another strikeout. That is his 4th strikeout through 2 2/3 innings today. And now Kevin McKenzie will be the batter here, 0 for 1 with a fly out to right in his first trip to the plate.
McKenzie, as we mentioned, from the Boston area. I'll be heading to a Guardians-Red Sox games in a couple weeks, John. Looking forward to that at Fenway.
Oh, up at Fenway, so not even here.
Well, I have one of my daughters, who may actually even be listening today, she texted me, is a freshman at Tufts, so I'm going to see her orchestra concert, and it's well-timed with the Guardians-Red Sox series. So I'll be catching classical music and baseball.
Fouled back.
Two of my favorites.
Have you ever been to Fenway before?
I have,
okay.
John. It's obviously one of the best places to watch baseball, tucked right in the middle of the city, and yeah, I love. How about yourself?
I've never been, and I need to go. I have to go. Fenway and Wrigley I've never been to.
Gotta go, John.
That ball grounded up towards the middle and through for a base hit. Shortstop couldn't quite get to it as Whitty couldn't get the glove down on that. It'll be an RBI single for McKenzie. And it comes with 2 strikes, a little bit of a seeing eye base hit there, and Haley around to score. And that makes it 5-0.
Well, that was probably will be ruled a hit, I guess, to the degree that things get ruled up here Should have made the play.
Yeah.
Could have made the play, and the Spartans will take it.
It's one of those that even if you're the shortstop there and you knock it down and you field it cleanly, even if you don't have the play at first, you prevent that runner from scoring.
Absolutely.
And that was the, kind of the big faux pas there, if you will, is that not only did he not make the play, but by letting it go through to the outfield, you kind of hurt the team in that you give up that run on that play. And so now Owen Levinson, the batter, 353 hitter, 0 for 1 on the season with a fly out to right, batting here with a runner at first and 2 outs, takes that down low, and it's 2-1. So, yeah, best case scenario, you feel that cleanly, you get the play at first, but even if you just prevent it from going to the outfield, Haley probably has to hold it third on that play. Throw it down to first.
Thinking about last inning, Levinson turning 2. I mean, he is such an excellent fielder out there, and it makes such a big difference to your team when you've got great fielding, particularly folks up the middle.
Yeah, and I think that this lineup for the Spartans now is probably their best lineup, maybe with a little variation here or there, but with Levinson at short, with Haley as the designated hitter, I think it kind of maximizes everyone's strengths a little bit better. And again, with Levinson, he's hitting out of the 9 spot this year, which is impressive. Runner goes on the 3-2, and he takes it down low, ball 4. And so Levinson draws the walk. Second walk issued this inning, and the 6th of the game, 2 in each inning for Warner, is now up to 75 pitches. And the problem now is you have Jack Anderson coming to the plate, who's 0 for 1 with a walk and a strikeout, but still hitting at .447 on the year. We'll get a meeting on the mound here as the pitching coach will head out to the hill to talk
75
with Warner.
pitches for Warner at this point. Interesting to see if he gets the hook.
Yeah, there is action in the bullpen.
Well, they're waving their hats. What does that mean, John?
Well, it's a good question. I think they're either I think they're looking to see if there's a sign to get him in or not, maybe. But I don't think they're going to make the pitching change here. Typically, the waving of the hat might mean that he's ready in the bullpen if they want to make the change, I think. So,
for as high-tech as we are at Case Western Reserve University, I guess there's no bullpen phone.
You need the old bullpen phone.
Right.
Just pick it up, it rings. But I've seen some teams come and bring walkie-talkies with them so they can communicate out there. I'll bring up Jack Anderson, who sends the first pitch towards the gap in left center field, and it's down for a base hit. 1 run into scores. McKenzie rounds the corner at third. Levinson stops at third. Pulling it to second with a double is Jack Anderson. First pitch swinging, and it makes it a 6-0 lead. And Anderson now extends his hitting streak to 20 games. He has his 16th double through 24 games this season, and his unbelievable season continues.
Wonder if the Union manager wishes he had pulled his pitcher after that visit.
Yeah, it's one of those where when Jack is batting at this point, he's been so good, I'm not sure it matters who's on the mound facing him. It's a tall task, and Jack just muscled that one into the outfield. It's the 1-0 taken by Harris for a strike. Harris has been on base twice. He doubled and scored a run in the first, walked in the second. Breaking ball up high, 1-2.
Harris sporting that neck warmer up there. It was chilly. I did go to the home opener yesterday for the Guardians and Mariners, and it was chilly. I was wearing a neck warmer, so I shouldn't criticize Harris, but he is the only person with a neck warmer today.
Swing and a miss.
Coming from the D.C. area. I guess he's not used to Cleveland Springs.
Now the 2-2. I was going to say it's he's been sporting that all year. You picked the wrong day to go, though. It's been, next week it's going to be like 80 outside, I think.
I'm actually going tonight, too. It's going to be even colder, unfortunately. I wore my winter coat.
You'll appreciate this for my statistics project with Professor Solo. I tried to do a regression model to try to figure out if weather affects attendance at Guardians games. So loosely correlated. So I couldn't quite get the model to work for us, but it sort of worked. Ball 4 as that misses outside.
Well, I'll tell you about when I was an undergrad at Princeton, my statistics project, this was early in the sort of evolution of the three-point shot. My hypothesis was that teams that shot a higher percentage of their shots as three-pointers would have a higher winning percentage. And it was like very early in the evolution. I think it was like 1989 or 1990. And we found that some early evidence is happening. This before the Warriors. I mean, now it's sort of accepted fact that shooting a higher percentage, at least for certain teams, of a three-point shot, of overall shots. So my early stats work at Princeton, I was ahead of my time, John. I was ahead of my time.
In the meantime, we'll take a quick break here. It looks like a pitching change for Mount Union. Chuck Hawley coming into the game. We'll tell you more about him in just a moment. Welcome back once again, as the new pitcher on the mound will be number 18, Chuck Hawley for Mount Union. And he'll face Nick Harms here. Hawley, the righty, another Mentor product, junior out of Mentor, Ohio. Mentor High School, 6'1", 150 pounds. Tall task for him as he enters the game with the bases loaded, 2 away, but Nick Harms at the plate, first pitch. And the fastball just outside, ball 1, 1-0. Harms hitting at .360 on the year. The Spartans leading 6-0 and can blow this one wide open with a base hit. Hawley making just his second appearance of the season, went 5 innings of relief in his only other outing, did not allow an earned run. Called strike, makes it 1-1.
Nick struck out in his first appearance and walked in his second.
Now the 1-1. Levinson at third, Anderson at second, Harris at first. Breaking ball catches the inside corner, 1-2. Now Hawley trying to get the final out of the inning in relief of Warner. Delivers his 1-2 pitch. Grounded foul down the first base side. Nice grab by the first base coach. Oh, no, he didn't get it. I was going to say Roger Prettyman down at first almost came up with a clean grab, but rubber hands over there, couldn't put it away. So the bases stay loaded with 2 away.
So here's a little trivia question. I'm on the Mount Union website. Just looking at Hawley's stature up there, John, who do you think his favorite Major League Baseball player is? And I'll give you a hint. He's a pitcher on the Guardians.
Oh, gosh. So I'm going to say tall and skinny, so it's got to be Tristan McKenzie,
Way
right?
to go, John.
There we go.
You get a gold star.
Listen, if you ask me about the Mets, I can normally get it. You start venturing into Guardians territory. I'm not quite there. Straight swing and a miss by Harms, and that'll be strike 3 to end the inning. So the Spartans leave them loaded, but 2 more come across in the frame, and that will move us along into the 4th. Case Western Reserve leading 6-0 over Mount Union. It'll be 2, 3, and 4 in the Mount Union order. Rizanti, Mazza, and Schilling due up when we come back. Six to nothing. Case Western Reserve with the lead as we move into the 4th. And taking over with the play-by-play duties, here's Michael Goldberg.
Well, thanks,
Michael.
John. Great to be with you. So John Rizante coming to the plate. Rizante hitting second in the lineup. Came into the contest hitting at 370. Faxon heading into his 4th inning of work. And here's the pitch, fouled straight back. So Faxon, only 38 pitches so far, has controlled the ball game well, and now has got a 6-run cushion.
Brizante with the only hit against him today. Base hit back in the 1st.
Foul ball. Coach Englander picks it up. Still got game out there. So 2 strikes to count on Rizante. Here's Faxon's pitch, and it is popped straight up. Center fielder calls for it and makes the catch. So 1 down here at Nobby Ballpark on the campus of Case Western Reserve University. 6-0's your score. Michael Goldberg along with John Schwartz bringing you today's ball game. Now up the center fielder Zach Mazza, 3rd hitter in the lineup. And here's Faxon's delivery, and it's outside.
It's one of the few pitches today that Faxon has let get away from him. He's been so sharp with the fastball. Really, the fastball's been so good he hasn't had to throw a ton of breaking pitches today.
Mazza 0 for 1 so far today. 1-1 the count. Here's Faxon's pitch. Strike. Challenged him. Looked like a foul tip, but caught by Anderson. So 1-2 the count. Faxon into the windup. And there's the pitch, and it is foul tipped at the plate. And we will do it again at 1-2. 1 out here, top of the 4th inning. John, I'll give you another trivia question. Hawkins School, where Evan Faxon attended, sent a player to the NFL. We'll come back to that. Wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins. Penn State.
Penn State wide receiver.
Let the fans at home look that up on their phones. Hawkins School sent a wide receiver to the NFL.
Well, Ginn was a Glenville guy, right?
Yeah,
so
so this is my era.
So I got a guess here, but should I go for it here?
Sure.
My guess is going to be Mark Super Duper. Am I correct? No, off.
Wow, haven't heard that for a while.
I was hoping. I just want to say Mark Super
That's
Duper
really
on air.
good. That's good. I'm not sure where he went to high school, but it was not Hawkins School in Gates Mills, Ohio. Count is 3-2 with one out here in the top of the fourth inning.
I'm just going back to Tecmo Bowl and trying to think who I had as a starting wide receiver for the Dolphins then.
And that one gets away. It's ball 4, and as Zach Mazza heads down to first base. So Eric Schilling, the cleanup hitter, heads to the plate. Schilling came into the ball game hitting .378, 0 for 1 on the day.
That walk was just the second issue today by Faxon, which is a really good sign for him. When he's at his best, those walks are really limited, and certainly the case here today.
And that one gets away. Well, you ready, folks at home? Have they Googled? This is O.J. McDuffie.
Yes.
So O.J. McDuffie, product of Cleveland, Ohio, and Hawkins School, played for Penn State and the Miami Dolphins. O.J. McDuffie was also a pitcher like Evan Faxon for Hawkins School. And John, I'm going to admit that I faced O.J. McDuffie in high school and actually got a hit off him.
There you go.
So
Hey.
don't know if that video exists out there, but did get a hit.
Well, if it doesn't, just claim that it's a home run. You'll be all good.
I'll tell you one more story about O.J. McDuffie. His freshman year of high school, he attended Warrensville High School. We played freshman basketball, and he tomahawk dunked on me while I was guarding him. That was not one of my highlight moments. One of his many tomahawk dunks on other people.
Makes for a good story, if
There you
nothing
go.
else.
Thank you very much. And here's the pitch, and it is fouled off. 1-2 the count, one out here at Nobby's Ballpark at Case Western Reserve University. Evan Faxon looking strong for the Spartans at 48 pitches, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks on the day, with an inning and a third under his belt so far.
Yeah, this is the best we've seen Evan this year.
And here's the pitch, and it is foul tipped. Oh, there's a strike, and
Yeah, I think that was strike 3, and what they're saying is he's out because first base is occupied.
Okay, so it was not tipped. Thank you very
So
much,
it
John.
it was an emphatic call from the home plate umpire,
Yep.
who's made a couple of emphatic calls today there. She's always appreciated by us in the press box because
That
it
is
allows
true.
us to keep the window closed, and we don't have to listen for the call on a cold day outside. So
The first baseman, Jared Lehman, stepping to the plate with 2 outs and a runner on first. And Anderson throws the ball down, almost got the runner leaning a little bit there. Good heads-up play by Jack Anderson, and a strike was the call. So 0-1, 2 out, top of the fourth inning. Faxon looks in for the signal. Runner is going, and there's the throw down by Anderson, and a throw, and it's a tag, and he is safe. Oh, Harris was running in, thought it was out, but apparently got under the tag.
that's one of those where typically it wouldn't even be close on a play like that, but Anderson made a perfect throw down to second, and that's the only reason why that was even close. It was a huge jump by Mazza en route to his 14th stolen base on his many tries this year.
I was going to say 14 for 14 on the year, and that was right down Broadway for strike 2. So 1-2, 2 out, runner on second base. Only 1 hit in the ball game off Faxon for Mount Union.
One of the advantages to having a big lead is that if you're Faxon here, you can continue to challenge hitters even with a runner in second and 2 outs.
And Mazza fakes the run to third but doesn't go anywhere, and that ball is inside. So 2-2 is your count, 2 outs. A little bit of a wind going into the right center field way. Faxon looks in and delivers, and that's inside. So 3-2, 2 outs here.
Yeah, Faxon may be showing a couple of signs of fatigue, nothing to be super concerned about yet, but typically when Faxon tires, he does get a little bit more wild with some of his pitches, and I think we've seen that here in the fourth.
And there's the pitch, and he called strike 3. Lehman thought he was heading to first, but he's heading to the dugout, and that'll do it for the top of the fourth inning. So your score, Case Western Reserve Spartans 6, Mount Union 0. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Case Western Reserve University. Michael Goldberg and John Schwartz, bottom of the fourth inning, as Zach Carinci steps to the plate. And that ball is inside. So Hawley in his second inning of work. Carinci 0 for 2 on the day. Reached on an error in the first inning.
Carinci with a 14-game hitting streak, so he's certainly looking to get on base with a base hit here, extend that to 15.
So 2-2. You ready for a little more Chuck Hawley trivia? John?
Love a little Chuck Hawley trivia. Hit me.
Favorite food. Chuck Hawley's favorite food.
Let's see.
And here's the pitch. Outside. So 3-1 is the count.
He looks like a pizza guy to me from up here, but
Good guess. Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Cheese. And Carinci lines it to left, and it's going to be down and past the left fielder. Carinci heading to second. He could go for 3, but he just trots into second with a leadoff double.
and there's that 15-game hitting streak now intact. And for Carinci, it's more the same from what we've seen from him lately. That's now his 9th double of the season. He's standing on at second here. His average now up well over 300 after a slow start to the year. So Carinci, who's been red hot since pretty much the middle of March, just keeps that going here.
Trey Haley stepping to the dish.
Yeah, Trey has walked twice. He's scored 2 runs, so he's made an impact in this game already out of the DH spot.
Fouls it off. So Trey's a MEC-E major. Son of Rich and Beth Haley. They're watching from the D.C. area. Shout out to Rich and Beth. So runner on second, 6-0 your score with the Spartans on top in the bottom of the 4th inning. And that ball is high, 1-1. Haley also on the UAA Spring All Academic Honor Roll. Another foul ball back.
You know, Trey's real name also is Richard, and I'm not sure if he goes by Trey because he's the 3rd Richard Haley in line, similar to, Trey Armstrong.
For
yes.
Sure. Carinci with a good lead down at second. Here's the pitch. Strike, and that is strike 3. So Haley goes down swinging. Matt Trout step into the dish.
Matt has a strikeout swinging and then a sac bunt in his 2 trips to the plate today. And something we're starting to see the Spartans do more and more is move runners over by the sac bunt. We've seen them bunt really a couple times now in the last few weeks.
So Trey was telling us before the game that he was heavily involved in recruiting Matt to the team, and also that Matt's younger brother just recently committed to Brown as a pitcher.
You could see Matt's so athletic, and you got to imagine it's that runs in the family. His brother certainly athletic as well.
Took something off that and swings through it. 2 strikes. Hawley's pitched well in relief. So 0-2 the count, 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Hawley delivers. Carinci's running, and there's a strike and a throw down to third, not in time. So Trout goes down swinging, but Carinci over to third with 2 outs. Nick Tallarico coming to the plate.
Spartans' running game has really put pressure on Logan Bell, the catcher, today, and for Case Western Reserve. In this one, that is already the team's 3rd stolen base of the game. 2 of those have come from Carinci.
Hawley looks in, delivers, and it is up high for ball 1.
Tallarico had the big hit in the game so far, a 3-run double with 2 outs in the first. He's also struck out swinging.
So, John, I do love the work that Eddie and you do in the sports information office, but I'd love to make a request for some favorite foods of Spartan baseball players next year. Your counterparts at Mountain Union are really giving us, when you're up 6-0, you really need to go to those favorite foods.
We'll add that in here. It's like rain delay trivia. We need to add some additional facts in there. We did have our women's soccer team recently talk about their favorite soups.
Oh, I did see that on Instagram. That was cool. A lot of wedding soups.
Yes.
So 3-1, 2 outs here, bottom of the 4th inning, and that is ball 4. And Tallarico heading down to first. So 1st and 3rd for the Spartans as Kevin McKenzie comes to the plate.
I'm personally a bisque guy, but, to each their own.
That's right. You look like the kind of guy that makes a good soup. You ever make soup from scratch, John, or you're?
So I did Blue Apron a number of years ago, and so that was kind of my first foray into cooking ever. And so I've done, but can't say I've ventured too much into it besides that. So if by making a good soup you mean opening a can of Campbell's and popping it in a bowl and throwing it in the microwave, I could do that, but that's about the extent of my soup making ability.
With 2 kids under the age of 3, or what's your crew? 3 and 1.
3 and 1.
Yeah.
So
probably not a lot of time for soup from scratch. 2 outs here. Ball 1. The count on McKenzie. Bottom of the 4th inning. Case looking to add to their lead. And that ball gets away from the catcher, but Carinci heads back to third. 2-0 is the count. It's fun seeing social media. John, maybe talk about how does Case Athletics use social media to sort of get the word out on our programs?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's evolved so much over my career, where at the beginning of it, social media didn't exist. In fact, I think in my previous stop, well, maybe we'll continue this through the inning here, as it's popped up into shallow center field, and putting it away for the final out is the center fielder Mazza, and that will end the inning. So the Spartans leave 2 on, and we'll move to the 5th, 6-0 the score. So
yeah, tell us, as you were saying about social media.
So early on in my career, I think it was like 2008, so not even that long ago, and when I was at my previous stop, I think we had to self-report a violation for tweeting during the NCAA championships. You weren't allowed to do that at that point. We were tweeting live results. Obviously, things have evolved significantly since then. For us now, our goal is, and when we do this stuff, is to, number one, we view it as another resource to get the word out, most importantly, about teams' accomplishments and achievements and individual accomplishments and achievements, and to promote our athletes. I think we try to focus different things on different platforms for social media. So Instagram, I think, is primarily where our students are living right now. Twitter and Facebook are probably more our other fans. I think our students are somewhat on Twitter, but parents certainly more on Facebook, and so we utilize different ways. But you'll see all sorts of stuff on there, from video interviews we do with student athletes, and you can learn a little bit more of our student athletes. We do, obviously promotions for games and trying to do fun graphics and different things. And most recently, we've taken on some students who help us out with that, and we'll also kind of come up with some ideas in different ways to remote. So it's been fun and a new way to kind of be creative and kind of get people to know who our student athletes are and what makes them tick and what kind of soups they like.
There you go. Absolutely. So we're back here in the top of the 5th inning. Mount Union coming to bat. Faxon out for inning number 5. And the batter is Vince Armini. It's only 1 hit so far for Mount Union. And Faxon delivers right down Broadway for strike 1.
Faxon hasn't allowed a hit since the second batter of the game. He's walked just 2. He struck out 6 so far as we enter the 5th. So this is as good as we've seen him this year.
And that pitch is inside, 1-1.
Keep in mind, he's doing this against a team that received votes in the latest D3Baseball.com top 25. So this is a good team that Faxon has shut down so far.
That is ball 2. That pitch is inside.
I mean, Mount Union is a team this year. They're hitting at .310. They've scored 154 runs in 22 games. This is a good offensive team.
And that is fouled back. Interesting. Vince Armini, a little less specific with his favorite food, just goes for the whole category of Italian. Yeah. But he does like Shark Tank, so maybe you should take my entrepreneurship course. And that ball is lined into right field, so the second hit of the ball game as Mount Union gets their leadoff man aboard.
Well, let him stop over in Little Italy here after the game. He earned himself a bowl of pasta.
So Ryan Romino, the third baseman, into the stepping up. Ryan, local kid from North Ridgeville, Ohio, is a freshman. He's only played in 4 games this year.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Mount Union playing between some conference games here today when they face the Spartans, obviously in a non-conference matchup here, and I think sometimes they, you'll see teams in this situation use it as an opportunity to get some other guys in the game, and I wonder if that's what they've done today.
Oh, and Faxon tosses it to the backstop, and Armini trots down to second base.
Wow, pitch there to move him up, but. It's a Mount Union team. They've got a doubleheader against Baldwin Wallace. That's a huge OAC game for them coming up on Tuesday, that doubleheader at 1-4. And they're coming off of a doubleheader against Otterbein yesterday. So, maybe an opportunity to give a couple guys a little bit of a break, get some other guys who have earned their spot in the lineup in. And this might be the case here with Ramito, who's in the game today as well.
So 2-0 pitch. Faxon puts it right down the middle of the plate for a strike. So 2-1 your count. Top of the 5th inning. Spartans up 6-0. Armini on second base for Mount Union. As Faxon looks in. And here's the pitch, and it is fouled off to the right-hand side. Harms gives it a run, but that is out of play. So 2-2 the count.
Faxon has that ability to miss bats with his pitches, and that could get you out of trouble in situations like this. Runner at second, nobody out. Normally in a 6-0 game, you'd almost concede that run at times. But here, Faxon can remain pitching aggressively and try to get through the inning unscathed.
And just off the plate, just outside, 3-2 the count. Anderson tried to frame it in, but the ump wasn't going for it.
There is action starting in the Spartan bullpen. I believe that's Jackson Brewer, who's coming off a real nice weekend last weekend against Emory, who's going to begin to throw.
And that's ball 4. So Faxon losing a little bit of his control. Logan Bell stepping to the plate. And there's a conference on the mound. Here comes Spartan pitching coach, I believe.
That's Steve Grunberg, who's going to go out and have a talk. And again, in the bullpen, see if we can see who that is, but I do think that's Brewer. Indeed, it is Jackson Brewer throwing. So, Faxon here just trying to get through. His pitch count's still relatively low. He's only at 70 for the day, but you can see he's just not quite as sharp as he was earlier on in the game. And 6 strikeouts. He now has 3 walks, just 2 hits allowed.
It's interesting. The umpire helmet almost looks like it could double as a motorcycle helmet.
I was looking at that. It's an interesting helmet that he has on there today. Well, umpires are going to talk about something here.
Not sure what. Maybe making dinner reservations afterwards.
Yeah, the only thing I could think they were potentially asking was whether or not that counted as 1 visit or 2 visits to the mound because...
Oh, because the players came together and then the coach came out?
Right, and that'd be the only thing I can imagine that maybe they were discussing there, but, to me that would be a little bit of a reach, but...
Okay, the Mount Union coach is out now. You would think the score was not 6-0 with this, the intensity of conversation here.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the argument is. Like I said, the only thing I could think is that they're just is that mound visit. It's certainly prompting a long conversation, and now maybe even becomes a little bit of gamesmanship on a cold day with a pitcher on the mound who maybe is showing his first signs of fatigue of the day, and you're making him wait around in the cold.
Well, Mount Union coach Paul Hesse did the kind of hand wave, some sort of hand wave, like a frustrated hand wave. I'm not sure why. So back to baseball. Nobody out here in the top of the 5th inning as Evan Faxon looks to work out of his first little bit of a mess here, and that's fouled back. Faxon has really controlled the Mount Union lineup so far, but there are 2 men on with nobody out. The number 8 hitter, Logan Bell, hitting 186 on the year.
The good news for Faxon is that he's at the bottom of the lineup now, and so, again, certainly some hope that he could get out of this without any damage being caused here, but he's going to have to do some quick work here with Bell and then Kemmer up after.
I think he's showing bunt, but pulls it back.
That was awfully close to being a strike there. He might have just missed that off the outside corner.
Interesting, down 6 runs, but with a weak hitter at the plate. They're looking to move the runners over. 1-1 the count. And here's the pitch. Shows bunt. Lays it down, and it's a good one. The first baseman throws over to second, and it bounces in and caught by the shortstop. Excellent play, digging it out there by Levinson. Interesting decision to go to second.
Yeah, the easier play if you're the first baseman coming across the field is to go to third on that one. Certainly going to second requires a little bit more kind of dexterity. You have to turn your body around, whip the ball down to second base, and it's just not a natural throw for anybody on the field, let alone for a first baseman. But Tallarico got it there. Levinson did a good job to dig it out, and now a chance here is that one off the glove by Carinci to second for 1. Throw to first gets away, and that allows the run to score. They say he was out. I think he was out at second.
I believe so. He's moving to third, and the umpire is saying he's out. Yeah. So could have been a double play. Carinci knocked off Carinci's glove, but he continued with it. Harris just airmailed the throw to first, and they were not able to advance over. But that's the first run. Okay, our scorekeeping friend is having a little bit of a problem with the scoreboard. It is not 12-0. It is 6-1. She's trying her best, calling her out for effort, high effort, low execution on the scoreboard now so far.
0-1 the count now.
Okay, still struggling with that scoreboard as the pitch comes in. So Faxon with that important second out with a runner on first. And there we go. 6-1 is your score. Well done. Well done, scoreboard operator here. And they're going to send a runner, and the ball's fouled off, and it is going to go down the right field line. They'll do it again.
You know, really, if you're faxing there, once you let that runner get on second, certainly that play is a little disappointing only because, A, Corinci almost made a great play at third to field it on the line drive, and that keeps the runners frozen. If not, maybe you even get a second out. B, once Corinci picked it up, you had maybe a shot at a double play to get that inning, but again, just, tough. But really, if you're faxing that scenario, you're in a situation where, you're kind of saying, okay, like 1 run in isn't bad with a 6-run lead if you're trading outs for runs. And that's basically what he did in this inning.
Absolutely.
You're probably kicking yourself more for the single and the walk to start the inning than you are for how the inning has gone since.
So 0-2, 2 outs. Top of the 6th inning. Faxon looks in. The runner goes, and it hits off the glove of Anderson. Was up and in. So easily advancing down to second base goes Anthony Kemmer. So 1-2, 2 out. Union has a runner on second for the leadoff hitter, Andrew Whitty. Faxon would really like to get out of this inning. Whitty also from Mentor, Ohio. And there's a hit, and it goes right up the middle, and it is through for a base hit, and that is going to score Mount Union's second run as the throw is cut off. Good piece of hitting by Andrew Whitty.
Again, that's the one you'll beat yourself up for more than anything else, is allowing that second run to come across as opposed to the, that first one. But again, if you're faxing here, you've got some wiggle room to work out of here. Just got to try to get through the 5th. But some tough hitters against him here in this inning. Still to follow here. So he's got some work to do with 2 outs.
Throw over, gets him back.
Whitty, a guy who certainly can run. He has 10 stolen bases on 11 attempts this year, too. And got to imagine he might try to get into scoring position here.
Faxon's control has not been as sharp this inning as that is up and in for ball 1. So top of the 6th, or top of the 5th, Mount Union getting 2 runs this inning, and that's a foul ball. So 1-1 your count.
This one, if you're faxing, you could probably expend whatever you have here to try to get this out. As it looks like the bullpen has stopped moving. I'm not sure we'll see another inning out of Faxon here. I don't know if Coach Englander would bring him out for the 6th or not. But it wouldn't shock me if this would be his last inning regardless of what happens.
Here's a pitch from Faxon, and it's a strike, called strike on the inside part of the plate. 1-2 is your count. 2 outs. 6-2 score with the Spartans on top. Mount Union scored 2 this inning and have a runner on first for the number 2 hitter, John Rosante. And that is hit foul. Runner was on the move. They'll do it again at 1-2.
Faxon had him fooled on that one. Well out in front of the breaking pitch. I get some fresh baseballs out there. It's not quite as bad as it was last week when the baseballs were basically coming out of play anytime they hit the outfield dirt. It was so wet outside on last Saturday. So we had that rainstorm that passed through the area about noon, right about when we were supposed to start first pitch. A lot of waterlogged baseballs from that game.
1-2. Here's Faxon's pitch. Strike 3 called. Evan Faxon gets out of the inning. As we head to the bottom of the 5th inning, the score, your Case Western Reserve University Spartans 6, Mount Union 2. And we'll take a short break. Welcome back to Nobby's Ballpark on the campus of Case Western Reserve University here on a sunny day in Cleveland, Ohio. Michael Goldberg along with my friend John Schwartz. Spartans are up 6-2 as Mount Union gets on the scoreboard in the top of the fifth as the Spartans come on. There's a new pitcher for Mount Union, Luke Eddy, 6'1", right-handed pitcher out of Barnesville, Ohio. He's a junior. He's a business major. And looking to take care of some business here as he faces the Case lineup. And there's a bunt attempt, and it's a good one to the right of Eddy, and he'll throw down to first, and it gets him. Bang, bang play down at first as Owen Levinson laid down a good bunt, but Eddy with a good job getting off the mound and throwing it down there, and we head to the top of the lineup.
Yeah, that's new pitcher on the mound. You want to test and see his mobility off of the mound there, and Levinson laid that down and put it in a good spot, but Eddy was on top of it, and a good job there by Luke Eddy to make a difficult play.
So Anderson takes strike one. Anderson 1 for 2, extending his hitting streak in his last at bat.
20 games now for Jack Anderson.
And the second pitch is just inside. So Anderson heading to law school, as we mentioned earlier, still has 2 years of eligibility to continue his great Spartan career. Did not go around, so 2-1 your count with 1 out here, the bottom of the fifth inning. And there's a line drive. It goes off the second baseman into right field. That's likely going to be scored a hit. So Anderson with his second hit of the ball game.
Yeah, Jack just keeps on hitting another hard hit ball. One that, certainly at second base, Armini had a chance at it, but it was hit so hard and he had a dive that's a hit for Jack. So he gets an easy second hit of the game there. And he's a threat to run, the team's leader in stolen bases this year with 9.
And there goes Anderson running, and there's the throw down to second base, not in time. Steals his 10th base of the year. John, let me ask you a question as sort of someone who's new to the booth in terms of official scoring, like on that play. Is that something that you do up here as the sports information director?
That's right. I'm doing double duty here, so broadcasting and then making the calls on the official scoring.
And does it ever get challenged later? Are there plays where our coach will say, hey, that might have been a hit or an error?
Yeah, you'll see it occasionally.
Speaking of hits, and that's an infield hit for Harris. Anderson did not advance on the play.
Yeah, occasionally you'll see one will say, hey, did you see it this way or did you see it that way? For the most part, it's not so much, but it happens occasionally. I used to do scorekeeping for a AAA team. And those were always fun because you get calls after the game from the managers, up from the manager booth, and some of them were guys who were former Major League Baseball players or former Major League managers. And at the time, I was a 20-something-year-old and still sort of figuring stuff out. And, they'd say, hey, are you sure about that? And you'd explain it to them what you saw. And they say, well, are you sure about that? and they go at the end, well, So, the advantage now that we have is that we can do a sort of video review to evaluate the play after it happens or even after the game. But, the rule of thumb when you're scoring these, or at least my rule of thumb tends to be that, you can't score it like it's a professional baseball game. These are college players the official word is that it has to be, for it to be an error, it has to be a play that would have taken ordinary effort to make. And what ordinary effort is for, an 18-year-old college baseball player is very different from a, 28-year-old Major League Baseball player.
Well, thanks for the explanation. I think it's, I think for many folks, you don't get inside kind of how an official score works. So that's helpful. Thank you, John. So 2 runners on, 1 out here, 2 strikes to count on Harms, and that pitch is just outside. Harms is 0 for 2 on the day. One of the few Case offensive stalwarts that hasn't gotten into the party so far today.
That was a good take on that pitch by Harms, a backdoor breaking ball from Eddy.
Here's Eddie's pitch, and it is outside. Another good take by Harms.
By the way, those 2 hits this inning for the Spartans were the first 2 hits Eddie has allowed this season, albeit through limited appearances. He's thrown in 3 games entering today and thrown just 2 innings, but had not allowed a hit prior to the Anderson single, and then another infield hit shortly after from Harris.
Oh, and they ring him up on that, and that looked well outside. Nick not happy with that call.
Yeah, I thought for that pitch, and what was tricky there is that, pitch or two earlier, the pitch that was called a ball was similar, but to me looked closer to the strike zone.
Right.
So I'm thinking maybe the umpire called that one low, and then that one, again, while it was, maybe even a bit further towards that outer portion of the strike zone, it was higher up, and that's why that was called a strike.
So Zach Carinci comes to the plate. Zach 1 for 3, doubled it in his last at bat. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Here's the pitch. Almost hit him inside.
It's hard to believe, not because of skill, but just because where he was earlier in the year. Zach's got that average up to 337 now. Again, was really, really struggling through the first couple weeks of the year, and he's just taken off like a rocket the last month or so.
That is outside. I know Zach last summer participated in a summer league up in New England where they use wooden bats for collegiate players, and mentioned to me last week that he's planning on doing it again this summer.
Yeah, he's such a talented player, and we haven't seen him pitch yet this year, but he's a really good pitcher as well.
And there's a slow roller to the shortstop, picks it up, and he's going to throw it. Oh, what's the call?
I think they said that fouled off of Anderson's something or
off Jack's
or
foot.
pardon me, off of Carinci's
Okay.
foot.
All right, so the runners will go back. Apologize for that. I was looking down to see Zach sprinting to first, and he was standing in the batter's box. I didn't see that call. Sorry about that. So 2-2 the call, 2 outs. Anderson is your runner on second, and Harris is on first. Eddie toes the rubber and looks, and there's another ground ball right to the shortstop, and he'll go to second for the easy play, and that'll do it for the Spartans. So after 5, Case Western Reserve University 6, Mount Union 2. We'll take a short break. Welcome back to Nobby's Ballpark on the campus of Case Western Reserve University. We've got a new pitcher for Case, Jackson Brewer. We'll talk about him in a second as he faces the number 3 hitter, Mazza, and his first pitch is outside.
Jackson, that's a called strike. A sophomore out of Greenville, South Carolina, Wade Hampton High School, 6'3", 190. Right-handed pitcher. As that one swung on and missed that. He was someone who Coach Englander came into the season expecting a lot from and got off to a bit of a rocky start, but it settled in nicely and coming off a really nice series against Emory.
That pitch is outside. 2-2 the count on Mazza, the number 3 hitter.
Brewer making his 8th appearance of the year now. No record of 5.87 ERA. 7 2/3 innings, 5 strikeouts, 6 walks. He's allowed just 9 hits, so starting to settle in a little bit more.
And that was high and outside. So full count here. As Brewer looks in for the sign, and that is line to center field. Spartan center fielder chases it down. Good play by Matt Trout.
It's interesting, Brewer shook off a sign before throwing that pitch. And certainly Mazza, who's a good hitter, got a nice piece of it, but Trout plays a really good defensive center field and was able to track that down no problem.
So coming to the plate is Eric Schilling, the cleanup hitter. Off-speed pitch is over for a strike. That ball is fouled away. So 2 strikes on the cleanup hitter, Eric Schilling. Schilling out of Stowe, Ohio, and he goes down.
It's now 8 strikeouts through 5 2/3 for Spartan pitching. 7 came from Faxon, who allowed just 3 hits, 3 walks, 2 runs in the game. Through 82 pitches in the outing.
So Lehman is a junior out of Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Another off-speed pitch. That one's inside. So 2 out. Good start for Jackson Brewer here in the top of the 6th inning. And Brewer is ball 2 with the fastball high and outside.
Anderson's been trying to frame that pitch on that upper outside corner this inning, but hasn't gotten the benefit of the call.
3 quick balls on Lehman. As Brewer was efficient and effective with the first 2 hitters, but 3-0 count to Lehman. And there is strike 1 as Lehman didn't agree and was trotting down to first base.
Yeah, Lehman shaking his head, but that looked pretty good from up here. I'm not sure what argument he had. Maybe a little high.
And that one is too high, so Lehman does trot down to first base with the walk.
A lot of walks in this game today.
So Vince Armini aboard.
Mount Union pitchers have walked 8 batters, 4 for Case Western Reserve pitchers.
Armini 1 for 2 on the day, and there's the pitch to him, and there's a strike on the outside corner.
Armini hitting at .429, but limited plate appearances for him this year.
There's the throw over to first, and Lehman is back easily. Lehman on the year has 3 steals, 3 for 3. And there's an off-speed pitch in there for strike 2. Nice curveball by Jackson Brewer. My apologies. So 2 strikes, no balls, 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Throw back over to first.
Yeah, Armini at the plate being patient there. I think he read curveball and just didn't want anything to do with it. And so now he puts himself in an 0-2 hole.
And there's called strike 3. Good punch out for Jackson Brewer, and that'll do it for the inning. So at the middle of the 6th inning. It's your Case Western Reserve University Spartans 6, Mount Union 2. We'll be right back. So we are back here. Michael Goldberg, John Schwartz with you. Spartans up 6-2. Trey Healy leading it off for the Spartans, and that one is ball one. Haley on the day 0 for 1, DHing. Here is the pitch from Eddie, and that is low. So Luke Eddy on in his second inning of work, throwing 17 pitches, not allowed to run. That is outside, but Haley goes fishing, and it is 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, I was about to say Haley's been a little more patient at the plate than we've seen him.
Until that. And he goes strike 2, challenged by the high fastball. And he lines it into right field, and that's going to drop. So first base hit of the ball game for Trey Haley, and the Spartans have a leadoff man aboard.
Yeah, with
Matt
that,
Trout.
I believe all but Levinson, Trout, and Harms have gotten a hit today so far for the Spartans. Everyone else in the lineup has at least 1 hit. So spreading the wealth here today for the Spartans.
There's the throw over to first. Haley is back. Haley 4 for 6 on the year for stolen bases.
Trout is actually the only player right now that has not reached base for the Spartans in this game.
And there goes Haley down to second. There's the throw from the catcher, and it is in time. And Haley goes down on a good throw by the catcher.
Yeah, Haley just didn't get a great jump on that one. Trout did all he could to protect him, took a big cut at the high pitch, which was a good pitch to throw on. But
here's Eddie's pitch, and that ball is rounded to third. Third baseman comes up with it and thrown in the dirt. Nice pick by the first baseman, Lehman, and that's a second out of the inning. So Nick Tallarico that got things going in the first inning with a big bases clearing double. Coming to the plate with nobody out. Nobody on, and 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And a slow curveball is inside.
You know, it's interesting because the Spartans jumped out to that 4-0 lead in the first. They led 6-0 after adding 2 in the third. But, you know, this is still a close game. It's a 4-run game, so certainly not out of the woods yet, even though it sort of feels like it's about 20-0 right now.
And there's a ball into right field. The right fielder comes over and catches it just past the foul line for the 3rd out of the inning. So the Spartans go in order after the hit and stolen base attempt is thrown out. So at the bottom of 6, Case Western Reserve University 6, Mount Union 2. We'll be right back.
Welcome back as we get set to begin the top of the 7th inning. Jackson Brewer back out and delivers a first pitch strike. It's an 0-1 count. It'll be Ramito followed by Bell and Kemmer. As that one hit in the air down the line and right, but foul. Ramito on the day is 0 for 1, a strikeout, swinging, and a walk. He's hitting at .300 on the season. Again, limited plate appearances for Ramito, who got the start today at third base. The pitch. Tried to jam him inside, and it's sent foul. So the count stays at 0-2. Swing and foul tip back. That caught some piece of Anderson, who will go chase down the ball. The home plate umpire doing him the courtesy of marching the ball out to Brewer himself, trying to buy Anderson a little bit of time to make sure he's okay.
John, I was talking to Coach Englander about the season, the possibility of a postseason bid last year. A lot of disappointment in the program that, given their strength of schedule and their record, that they did not receive a bid. Any thoughts at this point? There's still a lot of baseball to be played, but any thoughts about what the Spartans need to do to make the postseason?
Yeah, it's a good question because typically the number is Ramito staying alive, fouls another one off. The number that I look at typically at the minimum is 25 wins, 15 losses. That's your 40 games, and that's probably the minimum you need. There's certainly a little wiggle room there as that one is popped up into left field. McKenzie underneath it puts it away, and there's one gone. The benefit that the Spartans always have is their strength of schedule. And if you look at their strength of schedule right now, they're second in Division III behind only Marietta in NCAA strength of schedule measure. Second in opponents' winning percentage. That will probably go up after this game today. My guess is that they jump ahead of Marietta after today's game. Is officially in the books, and certainly after tomorrow's game against Denison. The problem is that you've just kind of taken away all of your room for error at this point. And there really isn't any gap to go have any extended losing streak, or you kind of sort of have to play perfect baseball. That misses down low. The good news is if you're the Spartans, you're getting into a portion of the season that should be easier teams, but now as opposed to talking about taking 3 of 4 from Brandeis or 3 of 4 from NYU, you really have to talk about sweeping those series, and winning 4 games in 3 days is never an easy thing. So, this seems to be a trend for the Spartans that more often than not they get off to slow starts as Bell draws the walk from Brewer, and he's on base with one away in the 7th. They dig themselves into a hole in the early portion of the season, then spend the back half of the season playing good baseball, trying to dig themselves out. They certainly can do that, but it's going to take some work. That's down low for ball 1, 1-0 to.
Well, we've been spoiled on campus with Spartan basketball, men's basketball performance, women's soccer, women's softball, some really nice seasons leading to NCAA berths, and Spartan baseball has a strong team. It'll be interesting to see if they can get hot at the right time and secure a bid.
Swing and a miss there by Kemmer, who is now 0 for 1 on the day with a walk and an RBI and a fielder's choice. Yeah, it used to be back a couple of years ago, not that long ago, the two kind of most successful teams on the campus were the football team and the baseball team, and that's shifted a little bit over the last few years. Men's basketball has certainly stepped up. Women's soccer, softball, all these teams are making
men's tennis.
Men's tennis, of course, who could forget them? So the dynamic has certainly shifted a little bit as that's popped up. Foul territory diving.
Good hustle.
Yeah, nice chance there by Anderson, who tried to get it. You have to be careful because that is a brick wall that he's diving headfirst into there. But fortunately, Jack missed the wall, and while he didn't get the ball, you're certainly happy they didn't go face first into that little kind of waist-high brick wall that lines the backstop here. I do think there's padding over there, but still. That misses down low, 3-2.
Talk about T.J. Shelton and his presence on campus, worked in the UAA and then switched over to Division I at Ohio State and now back in the UAA case.
Another one fouled off here, by the way. I'm waiting for that to hit off the roof. There
you
it goes.
Go.
Yeah, TJ has been fantastic so far. It's really interesting because he brings that perspective of being at a UAA school and then being at Ohio State, which is, as big time college athletics as you get. Really good perspective on things in general. I think vision for the department has been fantastic and what we can be, and then you mix that in with he's stepping into an opportunity where the athletic programs have garnered so much more attention. That one misses inside. Runner was going. The throw beats him. Or did they say it hit him?
Oh, interesting.
Well, let's see what the call is here.
I
think they said he was.
Four?
Sorry, that was ball 4.
Okay,
there we go.
4.
Ball 4. So that makes sense.
Well, great throw. Great throw by Anderson.
Yep. So back-to-back walks now issued by Brewer, and all of a sudden the tying run is in the on-deck circle with the top of the order coming up for Mount Union as Andrew Whitty will be the batter. Whitty 1 for 3 in the game. He's grounded out to second base twice. One of those was turned into a double play.
Nobody warming up for Case in the bullpen. Brewer being a bit dangerous here, walking guys at the bottom of the lineup as we turn it over to the big hitters for Mount Union.
Well, and it's tough to plan in advance, and you certainly don't want to think one game ahead of where you are, but when you go up 4-0 in the opening inning, as that one grounded up towards the middle, Levinson with it, steps on the bag for one, throws on to first, double play, 6-6-3, turned by the Spartans, and that ends the inning. To finish the thought, when you go up 4-0 in the first inning, you have a game tomorrow against the 13th ranked team in the country. The last thing you want to do is expend more bullpen than you have to. So someone like Tyler Horvath, you're hoping it's saved for tomorrow, whether or not he's needed tomorrow. But certainly some good innings here, like another scoreless one there from Jackson Brewer will help with that cause. And we'll move into the bottom of the 7th. Mackenzie Levinson and Anderson due up for the Spartans when we come back. Six to two the score. Case Western Reserve leading Mount Union as we move into the bottom of the 7th. A pinch hitter coming up here for the Spartans will be R.J. Christie.
R.J. is one of my favorite Spartans. Great personality, great kid.
For R.J. now as he takes a call for a strike from Eddie, who begins his 3rd inning of work on 1 the count. RJ all of a sudden becoming a pretty formidable offensive player. He hit his first career home run on Thursday as the breaking ball called strike 0-2.
Last year when I had the chance to broadcast a women's softball NCAA game, we actually did 2 games, and RJ came to the booth with me and did some color. He's graduating this spring, going off to the private sector. As I know him through my work at the Weatherhead School of Management. RJ's great.
And he's getting some more playing time here, too, and really showing what he can do with it. RJ, a guy who came in who was kind of thought to be a potential for a big bat in the lineup. But he's trying to get a bigger role with this team. Remember, early on in his career, he hit a couple doubles really, really early on in that 2020 season before the season came to a halt. So that misses outside. Full count 3-2 on RJ. But it's nice to see him getting it going with the bat this year. Fouls another one away.
He doesn't get cheated up there.
No.
RJ from the Philadelphia area. He's just one of those kids. He also participated in my name, image, likeness project. He's just kind of lights up a room. Big personality, well known on campus. Really good kid.
He's finding off some pitches here to stay alive. 9th pitch of the at-bat upcoming. And he gets it in the air. Shallow center. Could be trouble. Dropping. And over to get is the shortstop. Collides with the second baseman. And it looks like he gets it for the out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did make the catch.
So a nice play there by the shortstop, Whitty, to put that one away. Whitty kind of caught it and then tripped over the second baseman, Armini, but was able to hold on, and that's the first out of the inning. So one gone, and they'll bring Owen Levinson to the plate.
I'll tell you, those are tough plays. It's tough to communicate. You're hustling out there. We saw actually in the Guardians game last week, second baseman and center fielder collided. Or actually, I think it was the A's game. Very difficult to. Everybody's going full on. I mean, Josh Naylor broke his leg doing that from right field for the Guardians.
I've seen that in a game before as the count goes to 1-1 on Levinson in a college game where a player, second baseman and shortstop come together on a ball like that, collide, and I think it was the second baseman who broke his leg on a play like that because you're just going full blast, and next thing you know, you got another body flying at you, and you're just not expecting it. You can't even brace yourself. So 1-2 now the count on Levinson, who's hitting at .343 on the year. Tried to bunt his way on. Was the first batter that faced Eddie back in the 5th inning. Eddie's done a good job in relief here. 2 1/3 innings, no runs, a strikeout, no walks. Kept his team in this game as the count evens 2-2. Here's his 2-2 offering. Outside, full count 3-2. There is action in the Mount Union bullpen. That one sent foul. Count stays at 3-2. Another one swung on and missed that, but it gets away from the catcher. Throw goes down to first, but not in time.
It's Levinson in our civil engineering department, senior.
He'll reach on a pass ball there. Again, I thought that was tipped. That, I think, was just misplayed by the catcher, and it cost the base runner. And it looks like we'll have a meeting on the mound here as the pitching coach coming out, and I think as much as anything they want to discuss how they want to handle Jack Anderson here with A runner on and one away. Anderson is 2 for 3 in the game with a single, a double, and RBI. Has walked and scored a run as well. Hitting at .457 on the year. And he's now 8 for his last 10 at the plate.
You know, it's interesting, John, a player like Anderson, incredibly skilled offensively, with 2 years of eligibility. Real coup for Case to keep him here. Do you think he's the kind of kid who could have played in Division One?
Oh, I think he is athletic enough to have played at Division One somewhere. I'm not sure if he would have been catching at D1, but he certainly had the chance. But we've seen from him that he could play short, he could play in the outfield. I mean, you could put him wherever you need him, and I think he certainly showed the skills. If you're hitting .457 with power at Division III, there's no reason why you can't go D1 and kind of do something there. You know, probably not the same numbers, but he'd be good.
You know, it's interesting. As you know well, James Hopper, our number one tennis player, men's tennis player, is graduating this year, has 2 years of eligibility, and will be going to University of Virginia as a graduate student. We haven't had a lot of student athletes from Case Western Reserve do grad transfer years at D1 schools, but it's interesting. I mean, Hopper's a great player, great kid. Do you think we'll see any more of that across any of our sports?
Well, and you know, it's interesting. One of the guys from Jack's class was a guy by the name of Ben Gorski, who left after 2020, is now pitching for Rutgers at the D1 level. Gorski here was a second baseman and a pitcher, and was going to be an impact player here, probably as a hitter and as a pitcher during his time here. Is only pitching for Rutgers, but was part of a combined no-hitter. He's one of their best arms out of the bullpen a couple weeks ago. So good pitcher. You know, it happens. I think we're kind of in that time period where everyone has eligibility, and they're certainly going. I think, you know, I think there's a chance we'll certainly see some more of that. Right now, I think, like you said, we've seen it the other way around. A lot of D1 players who have kind of come to play Division III rather than the other way around here. But
yeah, it was interesting when NYU basketball came to Case. My daughter's a sophomore at Duke, so their former point guard who didn't play a lot at Duke, Michael Savarino, who's also Coach K's grandson, was a grad student at NYU playing. They also had a Harvard grad transfer, and it's just interesting to see these kids. I mean, you know, the educational opportunities are there. It's just, why not extend your athletic career if you can?
Well, and especially if you're someone who is a high academic athlete, as that pitch misses outside for a ball and no chance to get Levinson, who was running on the pitch, so it's a stolen base for Levinson. But if you're a high academic athlete and you have some years of eligibility left and you can continue your career, especially if you're someone who's not earning a scholarship at the D1 level, it's a great opportunity to come and get a quality education. You can sort of reach a point where, yes, you want to continue playing your sport, but also, like, you know, you're coming towards the end of your playing days, and you need to start thinking about what's after that, and completing your education becomes important as well.
Yep. As you know, I teach in the business school here at Case Western Reserve, and I've taught quite a few of our grad transfer basketball players, including UAA Player of the Year, Mitch Prendergast, who is just an outstanding kid and a student. I mean, great student, and it's just nice to see these kids. Anderson, get down.
Fly ball into left, and making the catch on the run out there was Kremer, so that'll be the second out of the inning, although Anderson, everything he hit seems like it could drop in for a hit at this point. Another hard hit ball, and that'll bring up Josiah Harris with 2 outs, a runner at second, and Harris 2 for 2 with 2 walks, his double and a single today. So he's been on base all 4 trips to the plate.
That's certainly an interesting dynamic with the grad transfers because it's benefited us, but it certainly benefited the other teams in the UAA as well.
Yeah, I think you've seen certain schools and certain programs take advantage of it more than others. Like 2 of the traditional powerhouses in the UAA for basketball are Emory and Wash U, and they don't have any grad transfers. But you look at what NYU has done, you look at what certainly Case Western Reserve has done, and they've kind of built programs around grad transfers. So, you know, for baseball, you haven't seen it as much, and I'm trying to think of examples in the UAA, but really I don't think we've seen a ton of them. But I think that's more due to the fact that Division One baseball rosters are more willing to gobble up some of that talent, and so that if they see someone who's talented, you can latch on with a high academic D1 institution, whether it's for baseball, whether it's Duke or a Ivy League school if that's the route you're going or something like that. So, for example, after COVID, again mentioned him earlier in the broadcast, but Emory had a pitcher named Richard Brereton who went and spent a year pitching at Duke. That's just something you see happen. And then the other piece too is that with the Major League Baseball draft being deeper, that you sometimes some of that talent that might go D1 out of Division III does get drafted, and that's not something you see happen in a lot of other sports. Like there's not, there's nobody or rarely people getting drafted for basketball out of Division III. So baseball is a little bit different. Tennis was another good example because tennis tends to be a little bit different because the sport there aren't as many scholarships to go around at the D1 level. So and because it's a little bit more of a white-collar sport, typically that the kids can afford to focus on academics rather than athletics when they go to college. That misses down low, 2-2. And then you see other sports like women's soccer is another good example where, that's another one where that's a partial scholarship sport at the D1 level, so it's tougher for a player to latch on there.
Whoa.
Well,
chin music there.
Harris moves out of the way of that, so it's a full count. So especially if you're a player who is a partial or even maybe a non-scholarship player at a Division I mid-major women's soccer program, could be an All-American at a Division III soccer program. Then you're making that decision, well, what do I want to do? And Levinson going on the 3-2. The throw goes down to third, and they say he's out. No. And frankly, that must have been ball 4 as Harris was on, but Levinson caught stealing. And I don't think Levinson realized that he didn't have a trail runner behind him on that.
Never want to be the third out at third base.
Yeah. I like I said, I don't know if Levinson had that call, if he was running on his own or not, but he might not have realized he didn't have a runner behind him at first. Either way, that is the third out. And we'll move to the 8th in a 4-run game, 6-2 the score when we come back. Welcome back once again. Is another inning for Jackson Brewer. First pitch swung on, hit in the air, deep towards right field. Going back is Nick Harms, and he puts it away. And John Rosante retired on a deep fly ball in the first pitch of the 8th inning for the first out of the inning. So Brewer continuing to get outs here. Another solid relief outing so far. Brewer yet to allow a hit. He has walked 3, struck out 2. He's 39 pitches deep into his day. As he faces Zach Mazu, pops that one up, foul territory. Long run for Tallarico, who basically ran onto 118th Street to try to get that one. A long run for him, but it lands harmlessly foul, and it's 0-1. Tallarico, he's played a lot of first base, and you forget that he's a middle infielder by trade, and He went a really long way to go try to track that one down.
Well, Brewers looked strong in this relief appearance. Faxon started great for Case and Tired. Jackson Brewer doing well here.
Boy, that breaking ball might have just dropped off before the plate. And the count evens 1-1.
So Brewer 2 1/3, no earned runs, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks, 39 pitches.
2-1 now. The count as that misses outside. He has been sharp again as he continues a stretch of really effective outings. Line drive, that's through for a base hit. It's good to see for Jackson because, again, he really struggled early on in the season, and to see him bounce back like this is really, really encouraging. Now, you could see Coach Englander staying with him in a 4-run game against one of the better teams in the region. Shows you the faith he has in Jackson. Imagine we'll start to see the bullpen move a bit here. Chopper hit towards short. Could be 2 if they hurry. Levinson to Harris for 1. On to first. Not in time. But Schilling will reach on the fielder's choice. The ground ball results in the second out of the inning. The Spartans almost had their third double play of the game. But just not quite hit hard enough.
Levinson and Harris are impressive. My first Spartan game of the year, and heard about our defensive prowess up the middle, but just seeing those two together, it's really are excellent.
Yeah, it's interesting because that one's fouled off. You know, I think Harris had a little bit of an adjustment to the college level, but he adjusted quickly and was able, kind of figure out the defensive side of things. And Levinson wasn't playing short until really the last few games, but it's a much better team with those two out there. That pitch will miss outside and results in a wild pitch allowing Schilling to move up. I'm not sure if that was a true cross-up in signs between Brewer or Anderson, or if the ball just broke a little bit differently than Anderson was expecting, but I think it had some late movement and just kind of dipped out of the strike zone, and Anderson couldn't handle it. 1-1, up high, 2-1.
With a 4-run lead, Case has been in control the entire game. They were up 6-0, but, they're still in striking distance, so.
Yeah, this is certainly not over yet against a good offensive team, although that one chopped in front of the plate, and will go foul, 2-2. It's probably beneficial to the Spartans that one went foul. If that stays in fair territory, I don't think they have a play on that one. So now 2-2, 2 away, runner at second base, 6-2 Spartans leading. Brewer delivers the pitch. And the fastball foul back, count stays at 2-2.
Interesting, John, you were talking about the NCAA sort of pitch clock. It's not a sort of a visible pitch clock like there is in MLB, but it doesn't seem to be sort of enforced at the same.
Yeah. This is sort of the toe in the water year, if you will. And so next year, teams are going to be required to have the visible clock out there. That one ground to third and gets through Carinci. And advancing to third on the play is Schilling. Lehman on the error.
Now batting number 10.
It was interesting. After Carinci mishandled it, he could have potentially tagged the runner out with a little bit more awareness, but may not have. Just it was deep enough past third, and the runner was moving on contact.
Yeah, it's tricky situation there because that's, again, one, even if you knock it down and keep it in front of you, the runner probably has to hold on that. as Armini will be the hitter here, batting at 375 on the year. Called strike.
Nice pitch by Brewer. Well, you don't ever want to give extra outs to your opponent, and let's see if Brewer can settle down in 2 outs and get out of this inning.
One misses for a ball, 2-1. For Brewer right now, you could see, again, similar to Faxon, not as sharp as he was earlier in his outing, and maybe starting to show some signs of fatigue a bit. Here in the top of the 8th, his 3rd full inning of work. 2-1 on the way. And that misses inside, and it's 3-1.
Well, there is activity in the Spartan bullpen, John.
I believe that's Sankalp Doshi who is throwing out there. Indeed it is. Called strike, 3-2.
Good pitch by Brewer.
Just painted that outside corner with the fastball. Well, you don't have to throw Armini a fastball here. You could potentially come with a changeup or an off-speed pitch or a breaking ball, anything really, with 3-2 and a base open. He does come with an off-speed pitch. It's sent down the line and left, but foul.
Well, that would have been trouble if it was fair. The left fielder, Logan Andrico, who came in as a defensive replacement after R.J. Christie pinch hit, is playing way off the line.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because you see those and you sort of catch your breath. As that one hits softly up towards the middle, Harris has it. He's going to throw to first and gets it there in time. Nice play by Josiah Harris to get that out at first on a slow bouncer up the middle and end the Mount Union threat in the 8th. So the Spartans leading 6-2 as we move into the bottom of the 8th. You know, to finish that thought, funny baseball story, but I remember Tom Glavine used to say this, how he would give up, he'd throw a changeup and the guy would be well out in front of it and he'd hit it a mile, but hit a mile foul, and he'd say, well, like, you know, that's okay by me. I don't mind as long as he's, like, my goal was to get him out in front of that pitch, and he did exactly what I wanted him to. He pulled it foul, and even though it looked scary, it was one of those that he did what he wanted, but then he'd come back with that next pitch, and same thing you saw at Brewer. He was able to get weak contact that allowed him to get that final out.
And I think, you know, there's something about the strikeout and maybe an overemphasis on strikeout, but we see, I mean, Aaron Savali, who pitched for the Guardians yesterday, sort of pitching to contact, and I think it's sexier to get strikeouts, but yeah, mixing in off-speed pitches and getting folks to, you know, keeping them off balance is good.
Yeah. So we'll get a pitching change here for Mount Union, as the new pitcher will be number 33, Andrew Spencer.
Let's see what we can tell you about Andrew Spencer.
Sophomore, 5'5", 175 pounds, out of Kirtland, Ohio.
Okay, another local Clevelanders. Might be sort of the day that they're getting all their Cleveland kids in. Doesn't look like not much in him on the no favorite foods in here.
And if I'm reading the stats right, this might be his first appearance of the season as well.
Let's see, no stats available.
Yep, so has not pitched yet this
Guessing
year.
his parents are here. Maybe they're watching.
He's a lefty. He's the first lefty the Spartans have seen today. And he'll face Nick Harms. So the lefty on the mound to face Harms as the count goes to 0-1. Harms hits that one hard. Nice stop at first by Lehman, who will take it to the bag himself and rob Harms of a hit.
Nice play by Lehman.
Yeah, boy, that was scorched by Harms, and especially with the lefty at the plate, you don't have a lot of time to react to that pitch. You know, if you're a first baseman, that almost becomes like you're playing the hot corner at third. The ball just gets on you so quick, and a really nice play by Lehman. So now Zach Carinci will be the batter, a .333 hitter on the year. Carinci is 1 for 4 in the game and takes that one for a ball, 1-0. Up high, 2-0.
Good crowd on hand today at Case Western Reserve. A little bit of sun shining, at least the first couple of rows.
Feel like today's another one of those days where it looks a little bit nicer from inside the press box than it is
Well, there you go.
when you're sitting outside. But I still can't believe it's going to be 80 next week. That's ball 4, so a 4-pitch walk to Corinzi. What was I seeing here? Let's see. Maybe a little lower. I thought I was seeing 80. Maybe it's not. Either way, that'll bring up Trey Haley to the plate with a runner at first and one away. And mid-70s next week, sun shining as Haley pops that one up. Behind second base, shortstop calls off the second baseman, and Whitty puts it away for the out. And there's 2 gone here in the 8th. And Matt Trout will be the batter. Trout hitting at 250. He is 0 for 3 in the game with 2 strikeouts, a ground out, and a sacrifice bunt. Nice pickoff move. Kind of an unorthodox pickoff move there from Spencer.
So only standing at 5-5, but looks athletic.
Swing and a miss, 0-1. So not only is he a lefty with a pickoff move, but you could see he's quick to the plate. And so I imagine he'll be tough to steal on here. That one lined softly into left field, and that'll get down for a base hit for Trout. Corinzi stops at second, but it'll be 2 on with 2 away. Now Nick Tallarico will be the batter.
So what would be your walk-up song, John?
Gosh, that's a good question. I always think of myself as more of a closer, so my closing song would probably be Sabotage by the Beastie Boys.
Okay.
I think is what I go with.
I always thought it'd be funny to my joke walk-up song would be Penny Lover by Lionel Richie. So that'd be funny to come up to the plate. To Penny Lover.
You have to decide if you want to go with the funny choice.
Yeah,
like
right.
there's who's the Indians guy who has
Oscar
the
Gonzalez.
Guardians guy,
yeah,
SpongeBob, right?
Yeah, SpongeBob, yeah. I think Penny Lover would work.
I think you
I
go.
don't know, the problem is if you have like a long career and then you're stuck with Penny Lover, are you allowed to switch your?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
you know.
right.
Listen, the guys are making $10 million a year. They'll let them pick the music.
Yeah.
That ball hit in the air deep towards right field, back on the track and falling down, making the catch is the right fielder Schilling, who got all sorts of turned around on that one, but is able to make the play for the final out of the inning. And that will end the 8th. The Spartans will take a 6-2 lead into the final inning. Last chance here for Mount Union. We come back at the bottom of their order. Ramito, Bell, and Kemmer do up when we return.
Well, welcome back. Top of the ninth inning. Michael Goldberg here with John Schwartz. John and I were just watching. We think that the walk-up music for St. Caldoshi is something he mixes. Our players are are super into it.
There
sort
is
of arm waving and dancing and.
There is fist pumping.
Yeah.
There might be a mosh pit going on in the dugout currently.
To share on the social media. I'm sure he's got a Spotify channel, John, if you're hip to that.
Well, San Caldoshi is the new pitcher, and he's 0-1 on the year with an 8.31 ERA. We'll see if he can get through an inning here with the team leading 6-2. Again, he's shown some moments of real brilliance on the mound throughout his career, but trying to get a little bit more consistent. And has a chance here to close out a win against, again, a strong, regionally ranked team in Mount Union. And we'll see what Doshi can do. The senior delivers the first pitch out of Charlotte, North Carolina. His first pitch up high for a ball to Ryan Ramito, 1-0.
So he's a data science and analytics major, as John mentioned, from the Charlotte area.
Whoa. That pitch just danced into the strike zone, boy.
Well, that is a generous call. I think the umpire may have a reservation at a Little Italy restaurant he's looking to get to.
That went a little low. It's 3-1. Now 3-1. Swung on, grounded off the fist to short. Levinson with it, throws to first, and there's one gone.
Levinson is smooth out there. A lot of confidence at the shortstop position.
So Mount Union down to their final 2 outs. Pinch hitter coming up here will be number 37.
That'd be Andrew McHale, junior, Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, another Cleveland suburb. So it does feel like a empty the bench of anybody from Cleveland to perform in front of their family and friends.
He's hitting at 298 on the year.
Cuyahoga Falls just a little bit south of Cleveland, closer to the Akron area.
I always get Cuyahoga Falls and Chagrin Falls confused.
John,
so
gotta keep them straight. Gotta keep them straight.
Too many falls.
Right.
Down low for a ball, 1-1.
There'll be a Cleveland suburb quiz for you.
Still trying to earn my Cleveland citizenship papers here. I'm
Nice.
not quite there yet. Got to pass the test first, as that's fouled back 1-2. I married into Northeastern Ohio residency, and now I need to just
There you go. Lean in. Are you cheering for Cleveland sports teams yet?
I'm New York City born and bred, so. But I always tell people I'm a Mets fan, and they never seem to be offended by that as if I were a Yankees fan. So that's good, at least.
That's true.
Slow hopper to short and scooped out nicely by Tallarico. It's another nice play on a ground ball as McKeel grounds out to short. Levinson is really playing nicely at short today, and 2 groundouts here in the 9th. Mount Union down to their final out, and it'll be up to Anthony Kemmer to keep it going.
21, Anthony Kemmer.
Well, the umpires will talk this one over. I think Paul Hesse, the head coach for Mount Union, came out to see if either the foot came off the bag or if the ball came out of the glove.
Well, Andrew McHale, who doesn't get a lot of playing time, very excited about the possibility of being on base. And sorry, Andrew, you will not be on base.
That's one of those where the umpires can certainly talk it over. The conversation there is, well, what did you see? And the umpire first says what he saw, and he clearly called him out, so he saw that.
And most, I'm assuming D3 umpiring crews are 2.
Most of the time they are. They would be 3 for UAA games. We have 3-man crews, as that's on the outside corner. One of my arguments against the 3-man crew is that because they don't operate in 3-man crews very often, the umpires don't, I think, sometimes lose assignments because it's a little bit unusual as that's outside for a ball. Usually you see either 2-man crews or 4-man crews if you're doing a Division I game.
Okay.
So I think the 3-man crew, you sometimes it becomes a bit easier to forget where your assignment is, as that's a called strike.
John, tell umpire group? How do we find these umpires? Are these Northeast Ohio based umpire crews? How does that work?
There's a assigning organization where all the umpires are registered for. So they're assigning for a variety of games, pretty much all in the area. And I don't know for baseball if my guess is it's a regional assigning group, so that they'll put them wherever there's a need in collegiate baseball, as that misses outside 3 and 2. So they could be filling all the Division III schools in the area, obviously, but also, the D2 schools that are playing. It could be potentially, any of the schools in the area here they'd fill. As the 3-2 on the way. Fastball swung on. Chopper to third. Circling it is Carinci. And it's a fair ball, and he'll just eat it for a base hit.
Now batting number 26.
It's interesting. I feel like in basketball, oftentimes the coaches know the referees, makes it easier to yell their names when they're unhappy. I'm curious how much Matt Englander knows this group, and when he disagrees with the call, does he know them? Does he know them by name?
Yeah, he does for the most part. They'll probably tell you that he does. So no, they know each other well, and it's again, it's I want to say an advantage, because I don't think it is. I think the umpires call the game well and fair, but certainly when you're coming in as a UAA team, you're facing an umpiring crew that's more familiar with one team over the other.
Right.
Called strike to Andrew Whitty, the leadoff hitter, who's grounded into 2 double plays today, including one his last time up. 1 for 4 in the game is the 0-2, as Doshi trying to close this one out. From the stretch, Roxon delivers. Fastball swung on. Another chopper to third. Fielded by Carinci. Throw to first. And it is in time for the out, and that will end the game. So the Spartans get the win over Mount Union. Final score 6-2 as Case Western Reserve scores 4 in the first and makes that hold up the rest of the way. Mount Union drops to 15-8 on the year with the loss. Case Western Reserve improves to 13-11. The winner is Evan Faxon, who gets his first victory of the year, improves to 1-3 on the campaign. No save in the game today, and the loss goes to starting pitcher for Mount Union, Anthony Warner, who drops to 1-2 on the year. The game lasted 2 hours and 35 minutes, and attendance here at the ballpark today was 238. So, Michael, pretty good game today. Spartans looking sharp out there.
John, thanks for offering to share the booth with me. I look forward to being back with you tomorrow, and a great day for Spartan baseball, and good to see our friends from across the state at Mount Union coming to town, and the Spartans will be back here at noon tomorrow.
Yep, noon start. Another challenging game for the Spartans. Will take on 13th ranked Denison. Again, noon first pitch for that one here at Nobby's Ballpark. Thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you all tomorrow at noon. Once again, final score, Case Western Reserve 6, Mount Union 2. Take care, everybody.